Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new episode of the Creative Insider. This is the number 18, and today my guest is Neil Darmanin. He's a graphic designer and a video maker resident in Malta, a small Mediterranean island for the people outside of Europe who are listening to us. So yeah, he gave very good advices about how to become a graphic designer, how to make better videos, and yeah, join into the conversation. And yeah, I'm gonna repeat to you that the next guests will be announced in advance, so that you can ask your own question to the guests. So follow the social media channels: Instagram at TCI Podcast, and the LinkedIn page and the Facebook page, The Creative Insider. So yeah, thank you for joining and enjoy the episode.
The whole world stops just like that.
Hello, Neil. How are you doing, man?
Hi, all right. I'm doing fine, thanks. You?
I'm doing fine too. It was a hard day at work today, but finally we managed to record this podcast. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Yeah, sure.
You're one of my further guests that I don't know personally because I got to know you through Instagram, which is a very cool way to find new creatives and new people. So if you want, you can introduce a little bit more yourself to the audience.
Hi, yes. Basically, I'm Neil Darmanin from Malta, a small island in the Mediterranean. Um, Basically, I focus a lot on graphic design and video production myself, and I work in events as well. I work with a company locally on evening events mainly, and I try to be creative with different kinds of media, and I try to do a lot of stuff that makes me happy.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. So, I mean, as we were talking in the sort of the backstage, if we want to call it like this, of the podcast, there are not many events are going on currently because of this pandemic. So I guess usually now you'll have more time to focus mainly on the graphic design part,
Yes.
or
Unfortunately, yes, all the mass events are closed at the moment worldwide. It's not Malta's issue. Um, we're trying to cope with the situation. Obviously, the events stopped, but mainly the companies, the businesses are trying to market themselves more, so they keep the ball rolling. So the event stopped for me, but mainly the graphic design, video production, for businesses, for corporate. I have more work from that side.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you. Let's start from the beginning of your journey. So, in which moment of your life? When was a moment in your life when you said, "I'm very curious to become something creative," or "I want to become specifically a graphic designer and being into videos and imagery"? When was that?
From when I was young, as in I always loved doing stuff myself. I always loved creating stuff myself. So I don't remember the exact date, the exact year, but when I was young, I always wanted to be like to do something different, as in I'm always trying to create my own stuff more than getting other people's stuff. I like doing my stuff and using my stuff. Um, Basically that's it. Then I started studying art and graphic design at secondary school, and from there I started, continued.
What kind of things you started to make yourself? Like every kind of things, or just I don't know, what kind of stuff you started doing when you were younger? The first things you wanted to create yourself.
When I was young, I used to do like structures with paper mache. It's called. when you have the glue and the newspapers, then usually it's for carnival and these structures. I used to play a lot with this kind of stuff, and painting, all this stuff, crafts, and trying to do create different stuff from different recycled wood, for example, and I'm creating this small stuff. I always like doing different stuff, isn't so you know
And you started studying at school, at a specific school of graphic design or in art, which is a high school or a university, or what kind of level was this education?
Yes, so when I was in secondary school, I started studying art and graphical communications because my target was to become an interior designer, and I was thinking an architecture as well. But then, obviously, by time you will start realizing that there are other options, and I started loving using Photoshop by that time. And in around 2007, I think, Photoshop CS3 came out, and I had got it on my computer. I had a Windows computer, lagging all the time. And I used to play with the software. And from there, I said I love this kind of stuff. As in, I always try watching tutorials on YouTube. And I started getting familiar. And from there, I started, building my passion for graphic design. From there, I started noticing that I also love animation, and I also love filming. So from that Photoshop CS3, I went to studying media more, studying filming, video editing, um, and studying a lot of stuff. In Malta, not like other countries, we're used to do a lot of stuff because Malta is small. Malta is around 400,000 people, and we have if in another country they have like a graphic designer, a video editor, a camera person, if they have lighting techie, in Malta, you have to do all those roles, most probably, because we are quite limited. So I started learning a lot, and trying to get as much as I can from it, so I won't be limited. And yes, as in I can do graphic design, I can do animation, I can do video editing, I can film as well. So I'm quite open.
And did you teach yourself the different kind of art, like a self-taught? Are you self-taught, or you once you develop this passion for Photoshop, and you figured out that you like this kind of things? Did you follow any classes online or courses or tutorials, or how did you manage to? Because this is, I mean, sounds simple, and when I show you work on your social media, it seems so flawless. But how did you introduce yourself to the different kind of
Yes,
filming and?
mainly I started introducing myself to other softwares after Photoshop CS3. Then I started to Photoshop CS4, CS5, and then not just Photoshop. I started using Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere. Yes, most of them are self-taught, and watching YouTube tutorials mainly. From that you can learn a lot from YouTube, and I suggest people to watch it. And you never know, as in you can't knowing all the softwares, it's impossible. So you have to always watch tutorials. I still watch tutorials. Like this morning, I had to do something, and I was curious how I can do it, so I watch tutorials, and I can find different ideas from different people, because you can create a lot of stuff in different ways, and some of them might be an easier way and that you don't know. Then yes, I went to after the secondary school. I went to MCAS Art and Design, 2011. I started learning art and design there, and mainly I was focused on media, and I used to do different stuff like wood, pottery, metal. So I started exploring other kind of media. Obviously, mind was set to continue studying on media, mainly on graphic design and video production. Then in 2012, I started a diploma in creative media productions, and there obviously I started to get myself more familiar with equipment and more familiar with softwares. But yes, most of the stuff that I learned were self-taught. But obviously, you will learn a lot from other teachers. Most of our teachers works in TV stations as well, worked on film sets. So you will learn a lot from these people, and from there I continued studying, and I got all the information. I'm still getting all the information I need.
And I didn't hear you well because of the connection, but your school was in Malta.
Yes, Malta. I studied at MCAST,
Yes.
under MCAST Art and Design.
Was that a private school or is it a public school, and is it internationally renowned?
Basically, MCAST Art and Design. It's MCAST. It's an institute. There's other MCAST Business, MCAST Art and Design. There's different sectors. It's like university, but mainly it focuses more on the on hands-on experience more than literature experience. We used to work on with cameras. Not just learning online, as in learning how, how it technically works. Just by using it. We used to learn by using stuff. We had a TV studio there, so we can go in this TV studio and we can use the cranes, the cameras. So
Yeah,
it's
that's learning by doing.
exactly more than like typing and copying from a board. It's different from university, as in University of Malta, and they don't focus on this kind of stuff mainly. They focus more on typing and on writing. MCAS focuses more on hands-on experience, and thanks to them, gave me a lot of experience.
And how long was that experience? How long was that education?
I spent 3 years at MCAS. By the time in 2013, I started working at a radio station as well.
Oh, so you're more experienced than me into this kind of things we are doing here.
No, but I used to work on social media content mainly. Not I didn't used to do any radio programs, any podcasts. But yes, I have some background of radios and how it works. Obviously, I started working at a radio station on social media. We used to do weekly videos, challenges for the presenters, to keep up the media going. As in, nowadays, you can't have a radio station and just a radio. You have to keep your social media going on. And yes, I spent 2 years there working at this radio station, and then I moved to a media company where I used to do video editing, video filming, and graphic design. Mostly I was more focused on graphic design, but I did some of the videos stuff. um I worked
So,
on
but
I worked on at
you were working while studying, right?
Yes, basically from 2013 to 2014, I spent like 1 year and a half part time, part time working at this radio station. Then I moved to full time, and after 6 months, I moved on to a media company. Then,
And what did you do in this media company? Then you started doing real deal films, and or what was the
as I
process?
said, I used to work mostly on graphic design because I was the main graphic designer by the time. But I worked on different sets. I worked on music videos. I worked on adverts. As in, you name it, we did it. As in, we did a lot of stuff. I also worked on a TV program. I think it's the only gadget TV program in Malta. I used to do some designs for them as well. As in, it was a part of this media company. They used to produce it. So since I was the main graphic designer, I used to do the graphic design for this program. We used to do quite well. As in, it was fun, as
But
in.
what kind of media included this graphic design work? Because graphic design, it's a lot of could be a lot of things. So like the, for example, you name it. I don't know. The what is the graphic design for a TV program?
So mainly for a TV program, I used to design the chest super, the lower thirds. Just to know who doesn't know what it means, chest super. It's the part where there's the name written on a video at the bottom. That's why chest super. Um, I used to do the artworks for social media, if any competitions for this program. A lot of stuff. Mostly, most of the stuff that included the graphic design, the visual. I used to do it. I used to create some layers as well for the video animation, and there we had an animator there where he can he can animate them then, and a part of this program we used to work on some government stuff. We used to work on logos, on branding, a lot of stuff. As in graphic design, it's quite a huge word, I think. As in under graphic
Yeah,
design,
that's why I was asking. You can do basically anything.
that's why we used to do a lot. We used to do like I did once. The Queen, the British Queen, came to Malta, and I had done a booklet. I went to take photos for it, to explain a tour, a Valletta tour. Valletta is our capital city, and this was a booklet where it explains, the landmarks and stuff like this. So we had done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but so did you take pictures actually of the British Queen or?
No, 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 no. I had taken pictures of the landmarks. I had taken the pictures of the landmarks, and then I placed them onto InDesign software. I edited the photos, and then I built this booklet.
Okay, so she got the booklet.
Yes, she got the booklet. She was reading it.
So she was reading your booklet. That's a pretty good accomplishment as a graphic designer to have gotten your booklet read by the Queen of England.
Yeah. Actually, we
And
had some positive feedback about it as well. That it was the most booklet that they had seen, that it was understandable by that time. So I don't know from 2015 now, and if they had other booklets, but yeah.
well, I don't know how you cannot understand images. Maybe the text wasn't understandable in the other one. And so you said you worked there for a couple of years, right? Like in that media
Yes.
company.
I worked there from 2015 till from 2014 till 2016. Um, then after I was thinking like I wanted to do it more freelance. Wanted to work more freelance. So then I moved on something else that I used to think a lot about it. Events. I love events. I love being creative in events. I love the hype. I love the stress of an event. Um, you have a lot of stress when you have an event. So I used to love it. So then I moved on with an events company. Yeah.
And what kind of events you started to organize, and was your background in to media somehow helpful for your new
So
position?
so mainly my position is still at the moment an event coordinator. I take care from concepts to finish. Like a client comes, did they send us a request, for example, 200 people coming to Malta to celebrate their 20 years anniversary, and we take care of everything. Like if they need a conference, we can do it. If they need a team building, we can do it. My task mainly is evening event. So if they have an after party after the conference, I will take care of it. Most of the time I get the information from the client, I understand what they are looking for, and I create an event for them, as in so they will enjoy themselves while they are in Malta.
So you organize music, DJs, location.
Exactly. Most of our the events that I take care of are private events, not public events. I work with another company, mainly Malta, um, uh, that they get concerts from abroad and festivals from abroad. They're quite big festivals like I Love MTV. Um, uh, yeah, I work with this company, but more on graphic design, but not as an organizer. So I help them with some graphic design and social media marketing. Um, uh, so I work with in public events as well, but mainly my full time job is private events.
And cool. And but on the side, you keep doing as a freelancer the video making and the graphic design.
Exactly.
So, what are your main tasks now as a freelance? What kind of assignments you get, and what kind of do you work mainly for Malta, like for clients from Malta, or you go like receive tasks from everywhere around the world? How does it work?
Um, um, I I have a lot of type of clients. I have different clients. Mainly, I focus on graphic design, but I do filming as well. I work with a company called videographer. They do video, they do social media video, they do festivals video. I usually work with them on festivals. For example, we have a festival in Malta called the Glitch. Um, uh, we do the movie for it. So I'm usually there to help them filming, getting the shots they want. I won't be the main editor, but I will be a camera person with them. I will be like we'll be a team of 5 people, 4 people, filming, and I will be I help them a lot in terms of filming. So I'm involved in filming as well. But in terms of graphic design and maybe animation and stuff like this. Um, I had clients like iDocs Health. They're based in UK, if not mistaken. Um, uh, I had worked a lot in the past with Red Bull as well. Um, um, with one of my past partners. We used to work a lot. Nowadays, he's the director. He's one of the directors of this company, Video Cafe. So we still work together, but obviously we took our ways. Um, uh, I have a lot of different type of clients, and
I think this part of the video making where you're actually doing shooting with camera instead of creating a CGI animation, let's say, it's very interesting to me because I'm curious to know how is the process of making a video for a festival. I can guess that they send you this, like they send you guys this team of 5 people you said, and they ask you to create a certain type of images, and then you build them together to create a promo video for that
yes.
event or for the next year. But how does the process of making a video like this look like, and do you do also the post editing, the building
Yeah.
together?
Mainly, I don't take care of the pre-production. Mainly, these guys from Video Cafe takes care of the pre-productions of these festivals, um, uh, and they hire us, me and other people, to help them filming. Obviously, because one person can't film a festival because it's a lot of people, and you have to get a lot of expressions, as in. So mainly, the process is that these guys they do the pre-production. They know all the information about these festivals. We have a schedule. We have a really strict schedule, but with timing, because most of the DJs will be foreigners, not local. So they will have like an hour set, and they will leave. We won't see them again. So we have a strict schedule. This festival, mainly the one I'm speaking of, it's based in different clubs as well. As in, there's a main area and there's small clubs around it, a village. So most of us we have to split. Like if I have to get 5 shots of this DJ close up, for example, myself, and then I have to go to in one of the clubs to get the other shots, other close ups. So it's quite a strict schedule, and it's tight as well. So you get tired sometimes, but when you see the outcome, as in when you see the final product, you say it's impressive, as in it gives you the power to do it. Obviously, as in then the video editor, which this guy is my friend, and he's, I think, was one of the best locally. Um, they do the final product looks amazing, as in like impressive.
And do they provide for you the cameras, or everybody of you has their own gear and then
Most of us
they
we,
get?
most of us we own our own gear. I own my own gear. But obviously, I get stuff from other people, as in because sometimes you need stuff that you don't usually use them. So if but mainly it's our own gear. Mainly we use our own.
How large is actually this community in Malta? I mean, I don't even know. Roughly how many people are living in Malta?
As I already said, Malta, it's around 440,000 people, less than a half a million. Um, uh, the video community, the arts community, it's big, isn't? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of artists in Malta. It's really good. Um, um, but mainly you start working with some freelancers yourself, and you have your gang together. Um, um, and when you need something, you just send them a message. Even if a client wants something from myself and I can't do it, listen, go to that guy, they can help you, they can guide you. We have the people that you trust. So there is a lot of people, and unfortunately Malta, it's small, it's a small country, so there's a lot of people eating from the same pie. So you have to work like this. I can't to be like, I'm on my own. You have to work with others.
Yeah, of course, but I guess that also it's such a large community because um, I guess that Malta, it's mainly there are a lot of these events and there is a lot of tourism and a lot of, I mean, usually in normal times, a lot of parties. So I mean, I know from experience that every party has its own photographer, its
Exactly.
own video maker. And have you done any videos where you are doing the whole process? Like, I don't know, they ask you to do a video about something and then you decide how to do it.
Yes. Usually,
Or
when I do a video all by my own, it will be a small video, because since I work full time as an event coordinator, I can't really have be 100% focused on huge videos, as in I can't focus a lot. But yeah, I work mostly on one day event videos myself, when it doesn't require a lot of pre-production. Um, uh, and on some small product videos. So when these kind of stuff that aren't that huge, I can focus on them. But obviously, I can't focus on a festival. I can't focus myself. So most of the time, if a client comes to me with a festival, I will give them the contact of these guys, and I will be helping them. You know.
And I see that you have done other things back in the field of graphic design, like t-shirts and like, for example, logos for restaurants. How does, for example, the process for logo restaurants works? Do you need it to work? Do the clients come with the idea just you to make them a logo, or do they have some brand identity already that you need to represent into a graphic form? How does that look like in your experience?
It varies a lot, because some of the people who comes to us, to graphic designers, most of the time they give their ideas, and we work, as in we do what we think it's good. Obviously, and then if they like it, they keep it. If they don't like it, we change it accordingly. um, um, there are different people. There are you have clients that they have a brand, and for example, they don't have a good logo. so they want to change, so you have to keep with their brand. There is others who comes straight to you and listen, I'm gonna trust you, and you're gonna do everything for me. So you have different kind of people. um, Unfortunately, sometimes it's not only Maltese and even worldwide. Some people don't pay a lot for their stuff, so sometimes they say it's expensive, so they just copy something from the internet and they just do it. So yes, so unfortunately, artists aren't really um, uh,
And you say yes?
and artists aren't really, not trusted. They, they don't pay a lot for artists. Unfortunately, people see it waste of money.
Yeah, I've had this chat with almost all my guests, which were, I mean, a part of the architectural guest, because I mean, as an architect, you have this. The clients need you; they cannot be without you. You know, because they're not allowed to build anything without a architect designing it. So, but the whole industry there is also um, very hard, requires always a team, requires a lot of work, so
Exactly.
it's normal. But in the other fields of design, people don't understand that this can be a real job, because they think it's, I don't know, sort of a hobby that people usually
Exactly.
do for fun.
Exactly.
And this is a problem. But I mean, I can see that in your work that you have done, there is a lot of quality, because um, you always notice when you even go to a restaurant, how much added value brings you a nice designed logo, a nice designed menu,
Exactly.
or when you go to these cheap places when there are some very very lame pictures of some food, and it's just looks cheap. But I was also wondering, you do a lot of the t-shirts you have designed. Are those just mock-ups, or some company actually printed them, or you print them and sell them? How does that work?
Basically, that was a concept I created with one of my best friends. Actually, we're going to like starting printing T-shirts, but it's at the moment everyone is printing T-shirts, so it wasn't that original. So we just kept it for ourselves. But yeah, that was a concept that I used to work
Print
on.
mask, man. Everybody are printing masks
Yes,
now.
yes, yes, yes. Masks. It's a good business at the
Uh,
moment.
I don't know how is in Malta with the masks, but here
Yeah,
it's I've
yeah,
seen every kind of mask. I've seen a TikTok mask. I've seen, now it's very
yeah.
popular, those where you have a smiley and stuff. Um, it's just becoming. I think it's becoming kind of part of.
It's becoming normal
No, it's
nowadays.
becoming part of your fashion. You know, it's part
Exactly.
of. But I was wondering, because I see your style, and your style, it reminds me a lot about street art. And you were saying that since you were young, you were into making your own stuff. Were you also into street art?
Not really, but I like street art a lot. As in, I like these urban stuff, grunge effects, Um, uh, but I don't really do street art.
Like graffiti style? I see that
Exactly.
you. I mean, from your work, because I've checked your Instagram, and I've checked your Behance profile, and it's, I think I can quote you here. Björk Ingels, he's a very famous architect, and he says that he doesn't like people who connect to a style, because when you connect to a style, you kind of, imprisoned in this style. But in your case, I don't see a style. I see that you have a very thoughtful process for each project you have done. It's
Yeah.
very, there is no style. I
I,
mean, there is a style, but the style, it's
m-
kind of more into the concept of the design, not very much into the how it looks
exactly. Mainly, I don't focus a lot on one style, as you are saying. It's not good to get stuck with one style, because times change, visual change. So But what I love doing is on everything that I do, most of it it will be vibrant. I don't know if you had noticed. I like a lot artworks with dark background, for example, with bright colors. Then, but the subject will be bright. You know, I like a lot of vibrant stuff. As in, I like something powerful. As in, not normal. You know.
Yeah, and you focus a lot on the yellow. In I don't know,
Yes, yes, yes.
I yellow
I'm trying to brand
uh,
myself more with yellow and purple mainly.
in doodles. I like the picture, like with the doodles, because it's your style. You know, I these doodles around your picture makes me think about, yeah, this guy has this bunch of idea and he doodled them all over the place.
Exactly. Yeah, it's something like, was in someone like sketch behind me. If someone seen my photo, so it's not crazy stuff. I hate when there's something like normal. I prefer when something gets different. I prefer like it's not that different as in people will do it. It's easy to do, but I like when the things aren't in a format. If you see that photo that you're speaking of, there isn't a format. There crazy stuff around my head, for example. So yeah.
But I was wondering, it's like clearly you have started early on in your let's say maybe teenage, early age
Yep.
to play around with Photoshop and play around with the different Adobe
Yep.
softwares, which are Adobe are the leader in
Exactly.
this. I always say, well, I'm not getting paid to say it; it's just the way it is. And I ask people to talk about this stuff so that who is listening, if they want to turn into being a graphic designer, they will know what kind of software they need to learn. But the software, it's just like having a pencil. You know, it's like
Exactly.
just having this tool, and then it doesn't mean that if you can take a pencil in your hand, you can draw. And also, you need to know what to draw and how to draw it. So I was wondering what kind of skills as a graphic designer you need to develop this consciousness, because you have consciousness in what you're doing. You don't have a style. Everything is sort of you can see it's taught. It's fitting to the project.
Yeah.
So I was, what kind of, no, because you said in your education there was more hands-on approach, and I'm wondering, but you have clearly some, I feel you have some knowledge behind, which is more theoretical, and then you apply it.
Yes. Basically, obviously, like most of the artists, I know how to draw. Obviously, I'm not the best painter, as in I'm not the best person with pencil in the hands, but I'm good enough to be creative myself. Actually, I have a certificate as well in art, um, so that helped me a lot when I started, like in back in 2009, if not mistaken, 2010, when I started studying art. That helped me a lot, um, by creating my own stuff with a pencil. So most of the time, even when I'm creating an animation, I sketch it. I sketch the storyboard, even for a video, even for like a commercial video. I sketch on a paper. I have my notebook here as a nice sketch, and I know what I want. I visualize what I'm thinking. It's not a memory. It's not something transparent. It's something that I'm seeing. So that helps me a lot. Obviously, um, other media like the iPads nowadays with the Apple Pencil, and with applications, different applications, you have different textures with the pencil. That gives you like it's an open book, as in you can do whatever you want.
And I'm now wondering, okay, um, you have this process of sketching. I always been fascinated about these storyboards for videos, because thinking in motions, for me, it's always very fascinating, because I think more in structures and something that's very still and it's not moving.
Exactly.
Um, so I'm wondering, have you ever, like at school or during your education, do they teach you some techniques of how filming an object or a person or an event, what the different position of the camera, um, what kind of feelings they create in who is the viewer? So how do you think how to start a video or transition to one subject to the other, or transition to one from one setup to the other?
Yes, when used to study at MCAS, they teach you a lot of stuff. As in, they teach you which lens you should use for that kind of scene. Which shot you should take. If it's a medium shot, a long shot. As in, if it's a extreme close up, it's a close up. So they teach you a lot of stuff, and by time, um, you you will know them automatically if you have something like serious and you want to get a, an expression, that you have to go with an extreme close up on a face or a close up. You're not gonna get it if you're gonna get a wide shot. So by time you'll start getting the stuff yourself as automatically. It's logic, and if you won't really think about them. But yeah, they show you a lot. They used to show us a lot, um uh, how to build a storyboard, and they used to tell us as well how we to prepare ourselves when it comes to lighting as well, how the light is going to be, the scene, how it's gonna look, if it's dramatic, do with the sunset, people silhouette, these all kind of stuff that you have to keep in mind, how the camera is gonna react to the lighting, because obviously what our eyes are seeing, it's not the same for the camera. You're controlling the eye of the camera, so what you're controlling, it has to become a scene that who's watching the video, um, um, has to understand what you're thinking. It's a different kind of art, you know. Um, uh, they have to understand what that guy was looking, that was thinking about creating this scene dramatic, even with the music. In fact, when I used to study at because they used to teach us different courses. Like I had audio. We had to create dubbing, for example. We had to record our sound effects and we put them in videos. We had to create our own adverts, our own concepts. For example, once I had created, they had asked us to create a promotional video for a product that it exists. They had created this one for the Coca-Cola, for the 1 liter bottle, and for a student project. It was really good. As in, that's one of the most projects that I loved working on, actually. So they teach you not just video; they teach you the concept. What if it's a dark scene? If it's a dark scene, what kind of lighting are you gonna use? If it's during the night, are you gonna use yellow or are you gonna use cool colors, like blue? And you learn a lot. It's huge, the amount of stuff you can learn from it, and it helps a lot. For me, it helps a lot in events, because I know I have basics about lighting for video, so I know when it comes to an event, I know what I want to create. you know it's
Yeah.
it's quite open. It's not just a video. When you're learning about this stuff, um uh, it opens quite a lot of opportunities that you won't really be seeing them before.
For sure, but I mean, I know that the every single aspect of a creative field, it's almost endless, because uh, you can see it nowadays on social media. There are so many creatives that are putting out their work, and there are so many different styles, so many different concepts, so many different ideas. And as you said, also audio, for example, in a video plays a big role. I've seen sometimes the experiment of showing some, I don't know, iconic scene of a movie without the music, and then doesn't work anymore. For example,
Makes a
yeah,
lot
there
of
are many
difference.
movies
Makes a lot of difference.
people can try themselves just to mute the video and see how it looks like. It's way less dramatic. But what I was wondering, if you knew or if you have an idea on a suggestion for, because you have had this education at the school, and you decided to go that path. But if somebody wanted to teach themselves some basics to begin, just it's for those kind of things. Are there any, I don't know, popular books or any popular platforms or any popular YouTube channels, or should people just go and try out themselves? What would you suggest for somebody that's just a beginner and he needs to get closer to understand the basics and maybe then dive in more?
Yeah, nowadays everyone got a smartphone. Most of the people got a smartphone. They have a good camera, so they can start by trying taking even photos, because once you know video, mainly you know how to create a shot, so you have a background about photos as well. Even to take a photos, you start eh, how you're gonna put the picture, as in how you're gonna set up the image. You start from this basics, as in doesn't have to you don't have to go and buy a professional camera, an expensive camera. You just have to start with your phone, start taking good photos. I sometimes I'm sure you've seen when you've seen my Instagram, I have some of the photos taken just by my phone. So, and I edit them obviously by on the phone as well. But if people they don't have to start spending a lot of money. If people start with their phone, they start being creative with their cameras. Nowadays some of the phones have got 3 cameras, so you got 3 lenses. For a person, a beginner, to have 3 lenses, it's not cheap, because lenses costs money. So on a phone you have got 3 lenses, you can try different kind of shots. um you can start experimenting with that. Then obviously, if you start loving this thing, you can get a basic camera. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It's not about the camera you use, it's about the visual, it's about the concept you create. I've seen videos even online, you can search for them. They do comparison between a red camera, which is one of the high-end cameras, and a basic Canon camera, for example. And they show that with a basic camera they had created a better product than with the red camera, because it's not just the camera, it's not just the gear you have, it's about how you play with the camera, what your visual, your idea. If it's the same for the softwares. It doesn't matter if you don't know Illustrator by heart, or Photoshop, or Premiere, because I don't even know them myself by heart. In fact, I had said that I've watched tutorials till today. I watch tutorials, but it's about your creativity. It's about being creative yourself.
Yeah, of course. And as I said, all the gear, all the software, that's just a tool. So I don't know, if you had a hammer, you cannot make a statue like Michelangelo because you don't know how. So it's more about having the idea and then practice it, and then you figure out the technique. But yeah, that's a good advice. I've played around a little bit with cameras myself, and I can tell from a personal experience that just by going around, seeing, trying yourself, then maybe seeing other people's work, you develop this critical view. When you see somebody else's work, you can see suddenly what kind of light they used, maybe what were the problems, because for example, you can recognize a lot of things. Do you have the same thing when you're watching some content, that you suddenly read how it was made, like you can sort of intersect all the
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the points.
Yeah, in fact, when I love watching movies a lot. When I'm watching a movie, sometimes how did they do this? What did they do? Sometimes, like in the middle of the movie, I go like in the break in the interval, I go and look for the behind the scenes, how they did, or after the movie, you know. Um, so yes, I always look how people do different stuff, even in graphic design. How do they do this? Why did they do it like that, you know? um it's impressive. As in, people, there are so many creative people that thinks different. That's why I love it. Think different. People thinking different, we create such a nice a nice thing together. um that's that's basically what going out in a city, for example, seeing different billboards, different visuals on screen. um that's what our life is being at the moment, is in all it's all about art. Going into a subway, have graffiti walls, as in, you know, as in, it's impressive. Art is everywhere, even if a basic ID card, it's an art, because there was a designer for sure who had designed that ID card, you know, or a passport. So it's impressive. Art is everywhere you look, from software, from an appliance, from a phone. Everything is art.
And I was wondering now to ask you a question more about the gear that you use to create your still images and your billboards and your logos and your different kind of,
Yeah.
let's say, still art, still design. You have this very doodly style, as I said, in a lot of your works. You mentioned that you have an iPad to sketch. Is that an iPad Pro? It's another model, or which one do you have?
I have an iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil, with regards to but I don't really use that one. I use it sometimes, and I did some projects with it, yes. But I love using my Mac more than the iPad.
But do you use your Mac also with a graphic tablet, something like that, or you just use
Yes, I have a
regular mouse?
I have a graphic tablet as well, but I don't really like it. I prefer than using an iPad on board. Then, but yes, iPad is good. It's helpful, but then nothing beats for me a laptop, a MacBook, because it's so powerful, you know. As in, I can do a lot of more stuff. But yes, sometimes when it comes to doodling and I need some basic stuff, yes, I sketch them, and the softwares are compatible to each other nowadays. So I just, through Wi-Fi, I send them to another software. So it's that easy now. So, you know.
Sure, but that's what I was wondering. It's because of course, I know that. I guess that you do the final tuning in of your different works on the computer, just because it's more powerful and the quality will be better and it will be much faster. But for example, the series of work you did with Doodles, with these ice cones and with this. It's very funny. Of course, for all the listeners, in the description you'll find the different links to the different
sometimes
platforms where you can.
sometimes what I do is, because then after a tablet, nothing beats a pencil and a paper. Nothing beats it. The texture, the feel is so different. So, most of the time, what I do when it comes to creating my own illustrations, I sketch them on a paper, I scan them, then I trace them through Illustrator. So I created the design by my hand, then I transfer it to digital, you know. As in,
Of
that's the
course.
best way for me. But yes, I had done some work, as I already mentioned, had done some work with the Apple Pencil and the iPad. But for me, nothing beats, and most of the others, that's what they say as well. Nothing beats a pencil and a paper. You know.
And then you manually with the mouse make it digital.
Yep. With the
So
with the strokes pen tool, you know. for who knows the softwares, they are familiar with this kind of.
Yeah, of course. I use it myself too, but I think to draw it with all the curves that you need to do with the handles of the software,
Yeah,
isn't it? How long it takes to make one of those doodles in the level you post
it
them on?
it depends. Sometimes it takes me 2 3 hours to trace. Sometimes it takes me 1 hour. It depends what's the project, But yeah, usually a basic project, it takes an hour for sure to to trace it. Then obviously when it comes to coloring, it's another thing. You have to try different colors. You don't like it, then you change something.
Yeah, but you mean tracing also within also the tracing of the different color regions, because I see how you have done it, and there are basically a lot of color regions that create those effect of reflection of a shadow. Um, so everything it's done, you can manage to do one of those little doodles in an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If it's a basic thing, yes, in an hour you manage to trace. Obviously, then to color it takes more time. If it's a basic project, but when it comes, for example, when I used to design the T-shirts um, uh, and characters and stuff like this, it takes more than an hour. It takes much more. I've did designs that took me 10 hours to design, just a basic robot, for example. Um, it always depends on the feel that you want to give. If it's just one color, if it's two color, if you're playing with gradients, and with shadows and with lights, it's different, and with textures. So it always depends on the project. But yes, a basic design, small, as in not that a huge one, like you can trace it in an hour, and then you can play with colors, as in, you know
Of course, and no, well, the doodles I was talking about are those ice creams and cups where you have
yeah.
drawn, but
When it comes to those,
yeah,
I did them. I traced them. I drew them on a paper. Then I traced them. Um, I scanned them. Then I traced them on digitally. That took me a lot. There's a lot of time, as in 5 hours each, maybe around that time. Um,
I think that sometimes you needed to do them in more than one
yes,
session, right?
yes,
Like,
yes, yes. Sometimes even, for example, you create a curve and you don't really like it, then you have to fix it, with pen tool and stuff like this. So it takes time. To finish it, to finalize it, takes a bit of time.
and I was wondering, you when you do this, these concepts also with ice creams, they're very very particular and very original. To come up with this idea, do you look for any inspiration before you start, or you have worked so much now that um, you have so many sort of ideas in your head that you just just
Basically,
doodle something and
basically the
then
ice creams concept. I don't really know how I came up with it. As in, if not mistaken, I sketched one ice cream, and I traced it, and I designed it, and then I said, let's do a concept about ice creams, with faces and stuff like this. And I created a gang, an ice cream gang, you know. To, to
yeah, I guess in Malta you eat a lot of that because it's warm there.
Yes, yes, yes. So I created an ice cream gang. So I don't really know how it came in my mind. I was sketching, I designed one, then I created four more.
Yeah, sure, but I was wondering, like, because as any everybody that works in some design field, they just get caught by some details. And I was looking at the one ice cream that's called Adolf's Chief, which is with the stick ice cream with the monocle, and on the other eye there is a drop of the ice cream.
Yeah.
basically.
Uh,
So this is so genius, man, because that drop covers the eye, so it looks like he closed his eye because if he's sweating. It's This is some little details that make the whole difference.
yes, yes, that character, in fact, Adolf is the chief. So I wanted to make him like old. If you notice,
We're not allowed to say that in Germany. Call him just the chief without the first name.
so so basically, has to look old, has to look experienced. So that's why, if
They're very hipster, all of them.
if you notice, there's a lot of cares even on his mind. There's a lot of melted ice cream. It's it's something creative, something different, something that doesn't exist. So
Do you impersonate yourself in one of those ice creams?
um I have something in most of them, I think. As in all of them I have something. Um but I think the one that I put myself more in, I, I think Louis, the creative one. I don't know if it's the slash. It's like the cup with the beard, Um, it's cool. It's creative. That's what I had in mind.
Yeah, I would have said that one too. It it looks like I don't know, makes me think about your the rest of your work more. And I was wondering, when you were turning into being a freelance, you said you have also started your events job, or am I wrong?
Um, uh, I started working freelance before. I've been doing freelance from 2012. I started with small projects, obviously. Then I always had bigger projects. Um, uh, yes, and then I had stopped a bit when I started working for the media company, because I didn't want to have any conflicts. Um, because we're working in the same industry, I can't compete with the company that I'm working for. Then when I turned full time on events, I had the chance to start to continue where I had stopped. As in I continued as in working on freelance.
But how did you manage to do this jump on your, like, how did you plan your jump on being a freelance? Because I guess that you need to have some backup money or backup plan if everything goes wrong.
My backup money, it's always the full-time job and events. Obviously,
Oh, okay.
nowadays,
Now, but
the situation how it is at the moment, we're quite restricted to the events. Obviously, I have the freelance covering up my events, and it's helping a lot financially. Um, so that's how I do work usually. As in I have both stuff, I have both things going on. Obviously, as I already said, I'm 100% focus on events. I love being creative with events. But yes, on my free time, after work, I work freelance graphic design and video production.
okay, and now I'm gonna ask you the question that I try to ask to everybody, and I always say that it's an open question, and you can answer it the most in the most vague way that you want to, just to give a certain range. Um, how much could you get for the different services you offer? I mean, I of course I know that, because in the architectural field is always different, because it depends on how complicated a project is, or what kind of amount of different things will be affected from that. But for example, for a logo, or for a menu or branding for a restaurant, or for a little animation, I saw you have done also animations for some companies, or I don't know if you do also just these little apps like menus or stuff like this. How much vary the range for somebody who is obviously living in Malta, and how do you price in the different projects? How do you approach that part of the job?
With regards to pricing, you're saying?
Yeah, for example, I don't know, how do
Um,
you set up price, or what is the range you can expect to the client to accept? Or
Usually, to give a price, usually I go through with the client, I see what they have in mind, um, uh, and then obviously on the request that I have, I see how many days it will take, weeks maybe, and obviously you have to work a rate on these days. Sometimes obviously you have to change the rate because, for example, if you have a 1 month work, you can't. You have to give some discount, for example, because you have quite a big project, most probably. So it can't be with the same rate of a small project, because obviously a small project will take less time, and obviously, you know, that's how most of the people calculate it in Malta, and I think even abroad. Um, when in terms of hours, it depends a lot on the project, obviously. For example, at the moment, I'm working with a company. They're getting a tough mother in Malta. I don't know if you know heard about it. Um, uh, which it includes a lot of branding and marketing. You know, it's a brand that was already built from the company itself. The company is coming to Malta. The brand name is coming to Malta. So obviously, to create a billboard, for example, we have to design it first, and then we have to send it to them to approve it. So that takes much more time. So it depends a lot on the kind of project, you know. You have to consider a lot the kind of project you're creating, obviously.
but let's say I'm a client. Let's put it this way, and I have a coffee. I'm opening a coffee, and I tell you, look, I want some logo in this style. I want the logo for my coffee, and I want you make the menu for the coffee, for example. I don't know if that's a possible thing to.
Hmm.
It's a possible assignment.
Yes.
Um, I don't want anything super incredible special. You need just to, I don't know, it's called a creative coffee. And how would you calculate that kind of project, for example? I don't want to know exact numbers, but like roughly how would you approach sort of assignment like this one?
um Assignment like this will take you for sure 1 week minimum, for sure. Because when you're building a brand, you don't have it ready. Um, you have to first start building the brand. You have to start creating the logo. Then, once you have an image, visual in your mind, and you agree with a client about the visual, um, uh, then you can start working on the other stuff, on the menus, on the posters, on any artworks you need on social media. So to start off, minimum of a week for sure, with a basic one, obviously, because some brandings will take months to being built, to get built. So obviously it depends a lot. It's something so it's so vague. It depends a lot with communication. So if I send you something and you reply and you tell me it's nice, or you tell me we're not in the same direction, that will affect a lot, because we can spend a week um, shooting options, and we're still in different direction. But we can spend 2 days and we're like in the same direction, and we have the everything going quick. So communication will help a lot in this.
Yeah, sure. But this is the same thing in architecture. In architecture, for example, in Germany, it's very structured because if you have a sort of, they already define some ranges of kind of projects. So you get a percentage of the building costs. So, for example, if you're building a skyscraper that's very simple and that costs a lot of money, I'll take, I don't know, 5% of the whole price of the skyscraper. So let's say you build a building for 100 million. Um, I take 5% of that, which will be 5 million. Or if it's a complicated one, 10, 15, and so on. But of course, you need a lot of, when we are talking about years of work or year of work of many people. But I was asking this question not to know how much you personally earn. I'm curious because if somebody is listening that it's interested into a graphic design, of course I think it's also vary who is making it, because
Exactly.
it's like a little like fashion. If you buy a T-shirt from H&M, one costs the same as a T-shirt from
Exactly.
another company.
Yeah.
But roughly, like, what could be for, okay, let's say I'm a beginner and of course you can offer different services, because if somebody is some as we did the example of the coffee, if the coffee hasn't figured out the whole branding yet, you might be also sort of a consultant, because you can create the first logo and then they can. So I was asking for some ranges so that people which are jumping into this business know roughly what could be the amount of money they can get earned, and also what is the investments, because you have invested into computers, cameras, softwares, time into learning it. So
Exactly.
that was the whole topic.
So basically, uh, who's gonna do it for money? This kind of job, it's not for that kind of people. I'm saying it straight away, because sometimes you work on a project and money wise won't be worth it, but the project will be so nice and will be so fruitful that you will enjoy it. You still enjoy it. Most of the creatives, they don't do their job for money. Most of them, they do it because of experience, um uh, because they love doing it. But yes, obviously creatives have bills to pay, have softwares to pay. Adobe, I pay yearly, and so it's an expense for me. So if I'm designing something, I have to get a cut from your design to pay my softwares. Roughly the prices will vary a lot, as in even from country to a country will vary. But you can get, if you have a name, if you have a name and everyone wants your design, you can have thousands. You can earn thousands, but for a logo, for example. But if you're a beginner, you can get hundreds, for example. So it's very a lot, as in, obviously, when it comes to, you're telling me building a brand. When it comes to building a brand, um, it costs a lot. It costs, it can start, for example, a basic brand. It can cost thousands, thousand, 2,000, 3,000, to vary, but it could cost something like that. But when you're building, for example, uh,
But I was wondering, have you ever thought to do something like Netflix? Let's say I'm gonna put it in a different perspective because it's very reductive. But we keep going in this imaginary coffee that's mine coffee, and we have said, okay, um, I need this logo and this menu, and start doing them, and then I'm happy with that. And then, while more I go along, I figure out more about my brand, or help me figuring out, and we say like, okay, um, I'll pay you, I don't know, let's say a fixed amount of money for the next 10 months, which, let's say, it's I don't know, a 50 euro, let's say, a month, and you just give me tips, just give me tips. And then if I need some bigger media that you need to produce for me, then of course I pay extra. Have you ever had this sort of, I don't know, clients or
Um,
this big format?
yes, yes. At the moment, I'm currently also working with not with a company, as in it's my own company. I have two other partners, but at the moment it's like I'm working freelance, not an official company yet. So it's like I'm working freelance for this company, but I'm one of the partners as well. Um, uh, we take care of social media marketing, um, and we charge an amount of money monthly for these companies to take care of their social media. Starts from 1,000. It depends what they want. For example, the basic package will cost around 1,000 something. It will be super basic, but it will do its job. um so we agreed on this amount of money with this amount of posts, for example. Um uh, and we get paid for the coming months like this. Obviously, then when it comes to if I need to take a photo shoot of the food for a restaurant, or a photo shoot of the drinks for a bar, um uh, I will charge extra for the hours and for the photographer, extra this cost. But yeah, the price is, if it's a small brand, it starts with thousands usually. As in, to start having something good, you can pay small money, but
Yeah, of course.
what
And
you get what you pay for. Actually, that's how it is.
exactly, and if you don't, and the experience, it's also what something that you mentioned that people sometimes underestimate. For example, I know this story about Picasso. I don't know if it's just a legend or just a true story, but I know that Picasso in his late life, he was sitting in Barcelona in some coffee, and uh, you know he was having coffee or tea or whatever, and he was doodling on a napkin. And one lady was sitting next to him, but she didn't know who that is. And he was doodling, and then he was finished, and this lady was like, excuse me, sir, you have done a very nice, sketch, a doodle. Could I have it? And Picasso answered, uh, yes, of course you can have it, but it costs $10,000. And she goes like, what? Wait, you took you just 5 minutes to doodle this on a napkin here in a coffee, and you want $10,000? That's crazy. And he answered, well, it took me actually 50 years to learn how to doodle like this. And this is what it takes me. It didn't take me 5 minutes. It took me 50
Exactly.
years. So also of your services, you have behind you many years of work also,
Exactly.
which is your time, your work, your life.
At the moment, I'm still young. I can't charge 10,000 for something, but yeah, as in.
Oh, but if you keep it up at the way you're going so far, you can go for it. No limits. I mean, I was telling you also in the backstage that I noticed that Martian and Sons follows you. Martian and Sons is a company which one of my former guests, Elizabeth Steinberg. She's also she won an Emmy for a motion graphic movie for the National Geographic. She was on the podcast, I think on the number 14 or 15. I think 14. I don't know. People, if they're interested, they can check on the platform where they're listening. Which episode was it? But she was telling me that she works with a lot of freelancers a lot around the world, and she scouts. She goes on the different platforms, and she looks what people can do, and then she kind of saves them. And then she in case of needs, she contacts them and asks them if they can do that or that. So if she noticed you, probably she have seen talent in what you do.
Might be.
So I and she did a lot of motion graphics for Microsoft. So a part of the Queen, maybe one day Bill Gates will see your stuff.
Maybe.
But anyway, I think that you have told a lot about the different aspects. I think that getting an overview about the business and about how to get to be able to do this, it was very helpful. I mean, I want to thank you very much because you have really been you have answered a lot of questions that I try always to put myself into the body of a possible listener that is curious about graphic design. And I'm interested in the graphic design myself because by starting this podcast I needed to learn a lot about how to make my post. I mean, I had some basic knowledge about some parts because as an architect you need to do layouts and stuff like this, and it's also about geometry and grid. But I learn a lot, and I'm curious, and I always try to ask this question that might be stupid, but the answer is never obvious. So I want to thank you very much for answering and participating. It was super cool.
Thank you very much.
And I hope to join you very soon on some event organized by you on Malta. I've never been to Malta. I need to visit.
You can come and I can take you around if we are a nice tour.
If I ever get to organize some event to need to make an event with the company I'm working in or with somebody in Malta, I'll for sure come back to you. And as I said to all of my guests, the last few minutes, I want to give you a platform to shout out your platforms, your contacts online, or how can people get in touch with you and find out more about your work?
Basically, my platforms. I mainly use Instagram, as you might know. It's Darmanin Neil. And I also have a basic one page website that it includes all the platforms that I'm on. So it's neildarmanin.com. People can go there, can read a basic description about myself, and at the bottom there is the links for all the platforms that I'm on. I'm on Behance, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on other stuff, and I'm on different platforms, so you can follow me there if you want.
So for the people who are listening, if you scroll down a part your on Spotify, you can just click and go to the links to the different platforms or Neil and follow him because he does really dope stuff and very dope ice cream cones. So thank you very much, Neil, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.
See you, bye. Thank you.
Just like that. Just like that.